Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video we take a look at the Batman the Animated Series episode, Bane. The episode Bane was written by Mitch Bryan and directed by Kevin Altieri, and served as the introduction of the titular character on the animated series. In it, mob boss Rupert Thorne has hired a Santa Priscan mercenary known as Bane to kill Batman. Bane is the only man to ever escape the infamous hellish prison called Pena Duro. He is a ruthless and formidable fighter who uses a drug known as venom that pumps up the body's muscles to giant size. Over the years, Bane has developed an obsession with Batman, desiring to best him, and is all too glad to accept Thorne's offer. In order to study his enemy before confronting him, the mercenary stalks Killer Croc, who's just escaped Arkham and gone on a crime spree. Bane is sure that the Dark Knight will be on Croc's tail too soon enough. Meanwhile, Thorne's mole, Candace, starts an affair with Bane, and together they secretly scheme to take over Thorne's criminal empire. So while the first season of the animated series ran on TV, Bane was simultaneously introduced in the comics as part of the extremely popular Nightfall arc. It's not strange that Bruce Timm and company chose to jump on the Nightfall ride and include Bane in the second season of their show. They're clearly trying to heavily evoke the comic storyline as well, with several lines lifted straight from the source material. This episode also incorporates many of the important beats from the Nightfall saga. Bane's origin in Pena Duro, his obsession with Batman, fighting Killer Croc and breaking his arms, vowing to break the Bat and rule Gotham. It follows the comics pretty accurately. All that's really missing is the mass breakout at Arkham Asylum and of course John Paul Valley. Sometimes when you stray too far from the source material, you end up ruining good characters and storylines. But then at the other side of the spectrum, you have the animated series episode Bane. It's an adaptation that followed the comics too closely. What we end up getting is a very tame, watered down, rushed, and simplified version of Bane's entire comic book history up until that point. They basically smashed together both Vengeance of Bane and the massive Nightfall arc in one 20-minute episode. In the end, it carries none of the weight that the source material did. We don't care about this Bane, because his entire origin story and motivations are summarized in a few seconds. We don't get to actually experience them like we did in the comics. His threat to break Batman and take over the city feels completely empty too, because he comes off as just another villain of the week who'll quickly get defeated by the Dark Knight. And that's what he was too. The creators of this show completely failed in adapting Bane in my opinion, and I think they should have gone in either one of these two directions instead. Create a different story for the character, not following the source material too closely. They did after all manage to give great and brand new origins to rogues like Mr. Freeze and the Mad Hatter. Why not for Bane? You can't squeeze in the comics version in one episode anyway, which leads to option number 2. Begin by loosely adapting Vengeance of Bane for one episode as an introduction of the character, and follow that up a few episodes later with a loose adaptation of Nightfall in 2 parts. They actually did something kind of like that with Ra's al Ghul, introducing him and Talia with an adaptation of Into the Den of the Death Dealers, and mashing together Daughter of the Demon with The Demon Lives Again in a 2-parter. So you can see that it could have worked really well, because those Al Ghul episodes are pretty great in my opinion, maybe even better than the comics. A 2-part Nightfall episode would still obviously need to skip Azrael, and the Arkham breakout would have to be smaller, with maybe only 2 or 3 rogues escaping, but that might very well have been a lot better than what we ended up with. This episode is definitely one of the weakest of the show in my opinion. It's not terrible or unwatchable, just bland and overall very uninteresting. It's got some really cool film noir imagery going for it though, and I like that Killer Croc appears, even though he's just there to get his ass kicked by Bane. It's nice to see that he's around, and that these rogues don't just go away whenever they're not being spotlighted. They're still present in Gotham, doing what they do. Bane was voiced by Henry Silva, an actor known for a very long career in movies and TV. I think of him mainly as that arrogant and eccentric big game hunter from the 1980 creature feature Alligator. He does a pretty great job as the voice of Bane. It's basically like what I always imagined the classic Bane sounds like. Silva's voice is a bit too low sometimes though, which makes it kinda hard to hear what he's saying. Not really sure what was up with that. In conclusion, the episode Bane is a pretty mediocre introduction of the character. I guess it falls in the same group as Scarecrow's introduction episode, Nothing to Fear. Unlike Bane though, Scarecrow was given better episodes later in the series. This is really all that Bane got, unless you count one small appearance in the new Batman Adventures episode, Over the Edge. Alongside Hugo Strange, I think Bane might be the only rogue that TAS totally screwed up. So there you have it. That's the Batman the Animated Series episode, Bane. Next up on Batman TAS Reviews, we'll be taking a look at Two-Face Part 1 and 2, so stay tuned for that. And remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.